Welcome to this video about the topics of position sizing and leverage. I think this is a very basic one that's crucial for you to understand. So we're gonna quickly dive into this. So, um, let's take an imaginary trade that we want to enter. For example, any long. Now, for this long, what you can do is you can enter without any leverage, essentially spot buying. Now, what you do when you're doing that is you're putting your whole margin. We're here going with full portfolio, just for the sake of demonstration. You can put your full portfolio on the line. This also means that you can hold it to absolutely zero because you have only put your money into it. So you can only lose your money. That's okay. The problem with this is that if you have limited margin money, you can only enter so many trades before the margin is used up. This is where leverage trading comes into the play. Now, the way that we want to use it is we do not want to have too high leverages for trades with a too wide stop. Now, I will get into what this means exactly. Very simple. What you can do is, for example, you have two trades that you want to enter. Instead of just one, like here, you have two trades. Now, you want to be exposed to both in your position size, which is this, which have this box as the standard position size. The only difference is that this, when you go on spot or 1x, you can lose everything of your portfolio without being forced to stop out. This changes when you add leverage to the game. For this, we'll imagine again this example of two trades that you want to enter with the same position size. So how exactly does this work? So essentially what you're doing is you're splitting your portfolio here into two and you're borrowing the rest. So you're basically taking this half and borrowing the other half two times. And we have this here. Now the part where you put your own money in this position or in this trade is here always in this highlighted area. So this is your own money and the rest is borrowed. So now with 2x leverage means you have kind of doubled your possible margin. You can now enter two trades instead of one with the same margin. We can take this out and combine these if it will let me. Same thing again. So this allows you to have two trades open with the same initial balance originally. You're just borrowing the other half. Now, of course, the person here, the one that gives you the money, they don't want you to, or actually they don't allow you to lose their money. That's why as soon as you add leverage to the game, there will be a liquidation price. What this means is that price has reached the point where the loss of your trade is about to exceed your own margin. So what this means is that the exchange that you trade on will stop the trade at that point where the trade will lose as much as your initial margin, as your own margin, before it will lose the money that you borrowed. So with 2x, and this is kind of the simple way to calculate it, is it always needs to go to 100%. So with 1x spot, you can lose 100%. Then you don't have to be like close out of the position, but it can just be valued at 0. Now with 2x, you can lose 50%, and then you're stopped. Because at 50%, you reach this part where you would lose the borrower's money. And this is a non-negotiable. This is not going to happen. You are kicked out of position. Now, you see like how quickly this goes into the risky part when we use, for example, a 50x leverage. So when using a 50x leverage, you can move 2% into the wrong direction, then you're liquidated. When the price moves 2%, you will be at 100% total and you will be kicked out of position. If we use 100x leverage, the price can move 1% and you're out. Usually with the liquidation engines, this will be just a tiny bit before that actually. So it's not going to be actually 100%, but just a bit before because it needs to cover with market fees because it cannot allow for any money of the borrower to be lost. So you need to be really careful. There's this stigma about leverage because it's super risky if you don't do it right and you can absolutely burn your fingers. Thing is though, if we have setups like the TVA, we hardly get any stops above 0.5%, 1%. If you want, and if this is something that you for some reason need, you can enter these trades on 100x, on 50x, as long as, let me put it here for you. Let's say this is your trade, right? Let's give it 0.5 stop. So with this 0.5% stop, what is the maximum leverage that you can use so that you will not be wrecked from this move? 200. Not many exchanges offer this, but that's a different subject. But if you have something like this, right, you could enter the trade on 100x because, let's recall it, with 100x, the maximum allowed price movement in the other direction, in the not good direction, is 1%. So if we had the same trade here next to it, and we have a exact 1% stop loss, let's not worry about the TP here, this would liquidate you. This would not liquidate you. So you could choose something in between. You can also go low leverage, it doesn't matter. It really depends on how much free margin you need. That's the most important thing about this all. You will not leverage extremely high if you don't need the margin. It's simple. Now for this we also have this little graph here. So the allowed drawdown when you have your whole portfolio in, it's on 1x, you can lose everything and you're not kicked out. Whereas when you use only half position size and you leverage the other half, you can only be in drawdown for half the margin, so for your own part. This is the key concept that you need to keep in mind. Okay, now we come to the next and the final topic of this little video, is the actual position size. So how are we gonna choose our position size for any trade? For this, there comes a key concept into place, and it's called just defining your risk tolerance. So you need to decide for yourself how much you want to risk per trade. What I mean by this is you need to decide how much are you willing to lose per any trade. Now for me personally, this is 1.5% of my account, of my futures account, I have to say. For other people it's 0.5%, 1%, 2%. For people who like it riskier, 3%. I really wouldn't recommend anything higher than that. But essentially, any percentage of your account in dollars. So, of course, this changes when your account grows, but you need to go by any value. So, if you have decided on a value, you can go on the position sizing. Now, for any trade before you execute, you need to know the stop loss. You need to know your entry and you need to know your stop loss. You need to do that because of risk management. You can't enter randomly without a plan. This is the most important thing that I preach in Wave. You cannot enter without a plan. Alright, now that we have the entry and the stop loss, we want to decide how much of position size in dollars we want to put in a trade. So for this, we know that the stop loss is 0.5%. Now let's go with an arbitrary amount of $1,000 in our account. For this, we have this little spreadsheet that I will share with Premiums, by the way, where you can put in your total account number, which I put here $1,000 just because, and the account risk that you want to take. Now we know here that we risk 0.5%. So what do? We see, okay, 0.5%, we need to have a position size of $2,000. If we don't want any other trades, and as shown down here, we want to put our whole portfolio, what we need to do is we need to put it on one trade, and we need to use 2x leverage. Why? Because we have $1,000 in our account blank, and we need to reach $2,000 in order for our account risk to be met when we are stopped out. Because what happens if we don't do that and we don't use leverage with this is we will actually lose 0.5% of our total account. Now here needs to ring a bell. Okay, so essentially your leverage needs to be that multiplied with the actual stop loss to risk your risk tolerance. So let's make a mental example, okay? Let's say we have the same trade, but we risk 1.5% of our total account. Which leverage do we need to use? What kind of position size do we need to use? Correct, 3x. Because the actual stop, 0.5%, needs to be multiplied by 3 for it to reach our account risk. Now here, of course, this is 1%, and this needs to be multiplied by 2 to reach that 1%. I hope this makes sense. I will post this Google Sheets in the description of this video. You can just make a copy of it. It's super simple, really. And then you can change in the exchange that you will have the account size shown in dollars. I think every exchange does that. If not, you can use InSilico Terminal, as always, super good terminal to execute. We will have tutorial on it, on all the different functions that it has that exchanges do not have, which is why I really like it. And yeah. Okay, so what I need to take away from this video is 1, how leverage works, why liquidation price is important, and that your stop needs to be closer to your entry than your liquidation price, but also the flip side that you shouldn't be scared of leverage if you have a stop loss and your stop loss is closer to your entry than the liquidation price, because you will get stopped out and you will have the according position size now with this Google spreadsheet to make this possibly high leverage trade according to your risk management. Alright, I hope you could take something away from this video and this was useful to you. Make sure to check out our website and to check out the premium that we have. You can find everything on the website. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video again. And hopefully also in premium.